Okay. I'm gonna touch some of them, maybe one or two because we don't have enough time. This is the one that is very important, and if we compare with in other religions, you're gonna see that in the Quran, especially when you talk about the embryonic human embryo development, is very clear. At that time, just for your information, there is no equipment to see the embryo inside the mother womb. But Quran told us there is stages in the embryo development. Like for example, in Surah Al-Mu'minun, Surah number 23, 12, 14, God mentioned about these stages. Okay, start from, for example, the nutfah, okay, the seed, which is in science, it is kind of fertilization between egg and the sperm. And then after that become what? Become an embryo. And the embryo become a fetus. And become a fetus, what happened? It's become akhor. Akhor means another creation. It means that starting from one cell, which is the zygote, is developed into something else that is really different. Not one cell anymore, it's become human being. Quran said that. And then there was no equipment to see that development inside the mother wombs. You can imagine that. Who said that? Unless it is coming from God, information from God to the prophet. Okay? So this is just kind of similarity, the stages in the Quran and the stages in the science that is just developed several hundred years ago, not even 100 years ago. Yeah, when we have the equipment to see that, and then Quran says there is a nutfah and there's that actually similar to the zygote fertilization, and then there is alaqah, is similar to like gastrulations, blastosis, that later it will stay in the mother womb, in the rahim, we call it, and then become embryo, and then become mudghah, idoma, which is neuronal bones, creating the bones, and then after the bones, Quran says the bones will be covered by lahma. Lahm means meat, the muscle. And that's actually happening. That development, if you learn about the human embryology right now, that's actually what's happening. That's really, so things that outside our mind. Because at that time, 1500 years ago, again, there was no equipment that able to see this process, but it's already known. Right? This is now look at what this is again what the Prophet Muhammad SAW mentioned about the development of embryos. What Prophet Muhammad said is very similar what the Quran said, and also very similar with the scientific development. But in this case, Prophet Muhammad SAW talking about another thing, which is the spirit. So the spirit, in the embryology, if you learn about knowledge, mostly about material things, they do not talk about spirit. But in this hadith, what we call the saying of Prophet, is mentioned about spirit. The spirit will be blown into the physical body of the fetus after 120 days, after about 4 months. And that's what happens when the science do this. Yes, they found it is about 16 weeks. The embryo start to kind of moving, start kind of develop, start to what we call alive. That's when the spirit entered into the physical of the embryo. And Prophet Muhammad SAW said that 1500 years ago. 1500 years ago. And then nobody knows about it, right? And now the science said, yeah, that's about the time when you can check the embryo, the fetus is actually start to alive, start to, maybe kicking inside the mother womb and etc. After about that 120 days or 16 weeks. This is just comparison. This is something that other religions mentions about embryo. What they said that the embryo is actually You know, when the Islam say it start from zygote, become embryo, blastura, morula, and etc. stages, what they said in this book, they said that the embryo is actually, when God created human, it's just like a baby doll, small, already have head, the body, the head, and it's just growing inside the mother's womb. You can imagine that. That's actually even about 1,000 years after Prophet Muhammad SAW passed away. They still have that kind of knowledge. Quran said it's not like that. So which one is actually true? The Quran, which is about 1,000 years before this development actually. They still don't have any idea about the development of human embryo. And then just this is one of the professors in Canada, human anatomy and physiology, that become Muslim because of seeing this and reading this about the human development embryo, the stages. And then he said, this is the truth. This is the one that really follow with the science. Just continue all the way.